Hi, here we are with a Kraft single stick that's been retrofitted with Gordon Anderson's amazing Microstar 2000 encoder. This particular radio has a couple interesting features in the switch functions, and we're also going to look at some very basic programming. The first thing I'd like to show you guys is on this radio I've set up the switches so they have two positions for throttle hold, run and stop, dual rates high and low, but at the bottom they also have a momentary. With these momentaries I can access the option and the preset. One really cool feature on this radio is if you hold these two switches in the option and preset setting, turn it on, and you let go, I'll just pop off this decorative cover, just a press fit cover here. We can look at all the analog to digital conversion numbers. For instance, this particular channel happens to be channel 6, and I can see what's going on here. We can go through every channel and see what the range is, and if we're happy with how many increments we get for each particular throw. I'm just going to turn it off for a second here. Another neat feature is you can just hold down only the option, turn it on, and it'll give you a readout where the stick is. We can see here there's a couple bars because I have the aileron trim set for an MSR heli I've been flying. And you can just turn and see the percentages and go to high rate. You'll see it'll zoom all the way over, and you can do this for every function. Now we go to elevator, and we can see that, and we can see the 10%. That's how much I have down to compensate for the helis wanting to go backwards, and we can go through all the different functions in the same way, channel 7, so forth. Very, very handy feature to check to make sure your pots are working properly, you're not getting any dropouts and anything of that nature. So that's basic access to some data. Now if we want to program this radio, we can just be in a regular run mode, and here's where it gets really fun. As opposed to having a zillion switches like a lot of modern radios have on the faceplate, the Microstar is a very simple layout. It's got absolutely nothing here. The way you access it is by flicking over this switch to calibrate, and then once you're in there we'll be using this option switch to toggle. So we want to get into this menu. So I just printed out a quick sheet here. So when we click it, the first thing we get is select aircraft. We can see we're up to 96, and then we come back. So it's almost 100 programs that are stored in memory in this radio, as opposed to like an impressive 30 or so on some modern radios. This guy can do 96. So 96 aircraft can be stored here. And of course with the computer interface you can store many, many, many more. So it's an amazing feature to have that many airplanes storable internally and quickly accessed by a computer, which we're going to look at in a minute. So that's aircraft number 1. To get out of here, I just toggle it. I go back to here, click it again, I'm back to select aircraft, and now I can go to any of the other menus. As you can see, using my aileron, I can go from the start position to helicopter. If I click it again, I'll go into advanced, and it corresponds to this amazing chart that gives you everything you need to know. So it's a super clean way to get into your radio. The one we use a lot is joystick calibration. You should be doing that every now and then just to make sure everything is calibrated and running properly. So if we want to do that, I just flicked over to System Setup, which is right here. I use my option button, and now I'm in that particular sub-menu. So here if I just start toggling, I'll see all these cool options. You can set your servo min, max, pulse, just an amazing selection of options, sync with and so forth. Shift, invert. And here we are in joystick calibrate. Now if I wanted to calibrate a stick, all I would do is go into this mode. It would choose aileron. I just click it again. Center position. Right. Let go. Left. Let go. And that calibrated that. And I would just go through each function in the same way. And it gives me the same options: center, down, left, or right. And I can just calibrate the sticks that way. Super easy, super good. Once I'm done, I would work my way back to the exit, click it, select yes, and that brings me to joystick calibration. Now I'm back in this menu. exit. Yes. And that takes me back to where I started. Once I'm done, flick the switch over, and I'm back in action. Another neat feature that's really useful for us electric flyers is a timer. We don't want to kill our lipos. So in this particular rig, the way I got it set up now is I just click the switch, my timer starts going down. I've set it for 5 minutes, and that'll give me the readout of what time is left. It'll also give me a little alarm at the end to remind me to land my plane or heli, a very neat feature. And also, resetting it shows how much time I've had the radio on for. Click again, I start my timer again. Kind of neat, so you can see how long it's been on for and restart your timer. Very nice feature, works very well. And that's some of the basic programming access, how to get into the menus. And a couple neat features on this particular radio, how to access those features by having momentary switches incorporated in my throttle hold and my dual rate position switch. I'm going to move on now to some computer programming and unleash the real power of this radio. It's an amazing radio to program on its faceplate, but once you hook it up to a computer, it becomes staggering in terms of facility and flexibility. So hang on one sec and we'll jump over to the computer. So here we are at the computer. As you can see, I already have the PC interface program running. I'm going to show you a quick way to set up the serial to USB converter, and this is a very important step because when you move it from USB port to USB port, the COM number changes, and what we have to check is where the COM wants to be set at in the program. So we go to System, we go to Hardware, Device Manager, and what's going to show up then under ports and COM is USB serial 340, and we can see it's on COM 4, and that's really important because that will give us the information we need to set up the other program properly. So USB serial CH340 COM 4. So we close all that up, and we go back to this program, go under Options, and COM port 4. It has to be set to COM port 4. Okay, now to hook up the computer to your Microstar 2000, on this particular radio I have the access port on front, and with the radio off I just attach a little connector right here, and then what I do is I turn my radio on and set it to CAL mode. Now let's just put this aside because now we don't have to work with the radio's faceplate at all. A quick way to check if it's working is we just go down to Read Data, and we can see the computer pulled all the information off the Microstar, and I know all its current switch positions, stick positions, and so forth. We can do something very cool here. We can go to Read Current Aircraft, for instance. So I want to know what's on my Microstar at the moment in its current memory configuration. So I go Read Current Aircraft, Continue. Selected aircraft loaded. So when we go into here, you can see AND1 showed up. That's what I've named that particular program. All the servo setting, mixers, shared options, system, and here you can see things like the minimum servo pulse, the maximum servo pulse. For this particular radio, for instance, I had to set the sync width to 0.400 because it's a JR module and it wants to see that. Here's where we can set the 5-volt reference voltage for a couple pots I needed to set. And here's a framing rate at 44, again a JR setting that I needed to do. And this is fairly new for the Microstar, is the helicopter setup. So you can have the collective pitch setups, you can have all your stunt modes, throttle curves, the whole shoot and match if you want to fly with a heli and you want to have these mixing and curve setups. An amazing function. So to get in here is fairly easy, and once you're in, everything is there at a glance. No small screen and 5 switches to toggle and one you got to hold down with your toe while you're turning it on. All that's gone. Super simple. And of course the memories here are unlimited because you can load 96 planes at a time. So Pretty remarkable setup. Very simple, very easy to use, and that is the basic setting up of the interface, getting into it, some basic programming ideas. Super easy to use system, fantastic, and thank you, Gordon Anderson.